morning and welcome to the keynote address session by Mr. Jaswinder Sodhi. Let me introduce him. He's Bachelor of Engineering and later took his MBA from Symbiosis Institute of Management. He has 2 decades of banking experience, starting with ICICI, moving on to Fidelity, later to DBS, and now with HSBC. He has worked on all service delivery sectors of the banks across branch, regional and national level. Currently, he is National Head, Customer and Digital Marketing at HSBC. I welcome Mr. Jaswinder Sodhi to the dais. Let me just set the context for the day's keynote address, Innovating Wealth Creation. We have gone through 2 sessions, one from INNOVATIng, Mr. Nitin Nair, and later on the fintech innovation space. These are on the bright sides of the innovation on the fintech sector. But let me also put the other side. Of course, we heard that e-rupee may replace our wallets in the coming days. But some of the economists, mostly from the West, are foreseeing a recession or at best a slowdown. And they call it with a new acronym, VUCA, which many of you may be knowing. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. In this context, it will be interesting to hear from Mr. Sodhi, who is actually on the cutting edge of the technology heading in HSBC. Over to you, Mr. Sodhi.
A very warm good morning to all of you. It's been an absolute pleasure to be part of TiECON this year. As somebody who's very closely associated with technology, digital wealth, I feel absolutely privileged to be speaking amongst you today, bringing my thoughts in front of you. The topic what we have or what I wanted to talk about was around innovation in wealth. While we have spoken a lot about how digital is powering cashless society, how digital is moving us towards more open commerce and network. There's one area which is kind of also making giant strides. It sits in the area of wealth tech, what they call, and there is an associated point of wealth creation, which is happening because of innovation, right? So I'll try to cover both these points in small ways. So if I look at overall trends, there are 3 big trends which are happening in the wealth space. Number 1, wealth is getting democratized. Clearly, there are more and more people who have investable surpluses, who are participating in instruments which they have never done earlier. So they want to either grow their wealth, they want to preserve wealth, they want to, provide for future, plan for children. I think the generation of today, or probably, one generation earlier, they are far more clear about what they want to do when they want to retire, what they want to plan for their children, whether they need Indian education, whether they need overseas education. Now, all of this requires a bit of planning, right? People are becoming more aware of that. Now, once you're aware of this, you go back to the drawing board of your personal life and say, hey, where do I get the money from? And how do I start saving for it, right? And that kind of brings you to who's my best partner in this journey, right? Is it somebody who is coming to me and meeting me and I have a good relationship? Is it somebody who is coming and meeting me and is very qualified? Or is it a tech platform which kind of gives me wonderful set of opportunities? So clearly there are multiple forces which are driving that behavior, but one clear behavior or one clear trend what we are seeing is increasing wealth in the hands of people and more avenues to kind of use that for goal, and that's what I call wealth democratization. Second, I think clearly as a result of technology being, moving to the next frontiers, there are new operating models coming out, which means, and I'll probably touch upon them in a little bit of detail. This enables both on the institutional side as well as on the retail side a better dissemination of wealth creating opportunities, whether it is by way of robo-advisories, whether by way of hybrid models, whether by way of self-directed models. So wealth is evolving from that perspective as well, where there is a greater choice both from the institutional side and from the customer side of how to run and choose that operating model. Right. Wealth has been traditionally a very, it's been traditionally a high margin business. It has not evolved so much over a period of time. The innovation was largely constricted to, some innovative products, higher risk-taking ability, some structures which we create by merging 2 or 3 products. That has its own inherent pros and cons. But beyond that, wealth was never looked at as a just journey of innovation, because it was accessed by very few, and also the technology was not advanced. Now with the technology coming in, the margins are coming down. There's no money to be made, honestly, in distributing wealth, and hence the whole divide amongst whether it has to be a volume-led model or whether it has to be an advisory-led model, that is also being talked about. For example, a market like India, there is high resistance to pay for advisory, right? Whereas if you look at some of the evolved markets on the western side, the US, etc., the advisory model is very well accepted, where you pay a fee for getting the financial advice, right? So India is still, some distance away from there, because there are different levels of maturity, of understanding of wealth, amongst our various segments. So coming back to the second point, I think technology, I think that's leading the change. The third one is, I think, around the newer products. And newer products are largely focused around ESG space, products which are environmental, social, responsible. I think these products are taking center stage. You will be surprised to see a very large number of millennials wanting to invest in such products, right? And they want to be associated with brands, they want to be associated with partners who can provide these kind of products and services. So clearly there is a major shift towards ESG. There's not much has happened. Very few companies in India probably offer today green deposits or green mortgages, etc. HSBC is one of them, which has started doing that. But we are yet to see the best of this. Globally, I think there is a huge drive which HSBC is leading towards net zero, which means that we don't want to fund businesses which contribute pollution to economy, as an example, from a climate perspective. So we want to contribute to sustainable businesses, and will fund only those businesses. So now that's a bold statement to make, given the fact that you are in a commercially viable business and you can't say no to some part. And that's where there is a goal, there is a journey. More and more institutions, banks, in this space are embracing this, and they realize that this is an important part of the overall agenda. So I think from overall macro trend perspective, I look at these three, which are kind of impacting the overall wealth space. And also, from if we look at from what is in it for the bank or for the somebody who is providing this service, and what is in it for the customer. What do they get as a result of this? Clearly from a bank's or institution perspective, this offers an opportunity to move to what I call segment of one, which means that each one of you will be treated separately as a segment. And that's what technology enables us today, right? The needs and demands of one individual may be highly different from the other. But given the fact that there is so much less information which was available earlier, we used to combine all the individuals and say, okay, this is the middle class segment, this is the high net worth segment, right? But if you look at the segments and go deep into it, everybody has the same goals. Everybody wants to retire early, everybody wants to provide for children's education, everybody wants to live a good lifestyle, everybody wants to invest, in safe instruments, right? So the needs, underlying needs are not very different. It is about how you deliver to them. And that's what technology is enabling it. And that's where we say that technology is affording us to move to a segment of one, which is the interest of the banks like us, the institutions which are in this business, right? What is in it for the customer? Clearly, customer is getting choices. There's huge choice for the customer today, and customer can make that decision of how he wants to be dealt with. Gone are the days when there was no choice. If today you don't get, the advice, and customers are very smart enough to see who is trying to sell one particular product because there are larger margins in that versus somebody who is giving genuine advice. So it is very clear with everybody that, who is genuinely, kind of supporting you. So clearly customers have that choice. Secondly, the entry and the exit barriers are lower because today you can shift to another provider very quickly, right? There are platforms which are available where you can just, with a click of button, you can transfer your portfolios, you can move to a new risk profiling, new platform within matter of minutes, right? So all of this has been made enabled because of the platforms which are available, because of the technology which is available. And the third part, which was never there, is around transparency, right? Most of the customers are not sure where their money is going in, right? The benefit of all of this is that there's a greater transparency to what is being invested, where is being invested, why it is being invested, and absolute linkage back to your own individual goals. So customers are getting transparency, customers are getting speed of execution, they are getting lower entry and exit barriers, and they're getting choice. There cannot be a better time at this point. That's the reason why more and more people are kind of, getting into this journey. If you actually look at, I was looking at some data in last, we've just crossed 100 crore demat accounts, for example, right? It was never a story. This trend got accelerated after COVID, where so many people sitting idle at home didn't know what to do, and they were having money and they wanted to participate in the markets, right? So what they did, they opened accounts and they were participants. There are so many fintechs today in the market who offer that platform, right? And as a result, somebody is starting with a small ticket size to say, okay, let me try this out. That somebody of today is going to be a wealth customer of tomorrow, right? Because he started that journey. And accordingly, if we look at, probably there are 2 or 3 segments I see which are emerging, in this whole space. Women are coming out as a big segment. Clearly they have higher disposable incomes in their hands. Increasingly, they are making more decisions in the family. They are more involved in the overall growth of the family and as well as the decision making. So I think they are playing a very increasingly higher role in the overall piece, and they are not averse to take decisions, so they are taking decisions, right? So clearly women is first segment. Second segment is the first time investor, which I just mentioned. The first time investor who just had a taste of what a demat account is, what a mutual fund is, what an investment is. So these guys are coming on board and they are testing out, what can be done. And apart from that, I think there is also we are looking at what we call as hybrid affluent investors. Now, it's a complex word, but what I mean by that is basically these are the guys who kind of want the best of both worlds, right? So they are smart enough to know how, a robo-advisory works, for example. So they will say, okay, while you are managing portfolio for me, I want you to come in only after, say, when I have a critical decision to make for, say, about an investment amount of 1 crore and above, okay? Below that, I'll just manage. I have algorithms, I have a robo-advisor who kind of understands my profile, and I can choose the profile I want, and automatically it happens. These are machine learning algorithms. And the best part is, these algorithms learn about you, right? They are not standing still. The more you transact, the more they know about you. The more they know about your behavior, the better decisions they make for you, right? That's the state of technology we are getting into. So, so they are happy with ceding control on areas which don't require them, which are kind of regular transactions, etc. The ones where they really need to make a decision, that's where they come in, right? So it's more of a hybrid model, and that's where they need that advisor. So the need of advisor is not going away. The advisor is going to be there. The nature of that advisor is changing. It's becoming more and more hybrid. It's a combination of the two, right? And that's where I think, I've got another 3 minutes to spare. But overall, on the wealth trends, I would suggest that, this is where we are heading. It is an exciting time with the choices available. I'll take a couple of minutes to talk about HSBC because by way of my interactions yesterday night with esteemed gentry here, I realized that not many people are aware that HSBC has been present in Kochi for a long time. I just want to mention that we have a full-fledged branch offering a full suite of consumer and wealth banking products and services, a very experienced team, a very large team of relationship managers which can manage personal wealth for all of you. And more importantly, I think HSBC, if you see, increasingly is becoming very, very dominant player in the wealth market in India. We want to invest, we are investing. We've just bought a mutual fund company in the country called L&T Mutual Fund. The transaction has gone through. It's an investment of close to $400 million in India. We are also looking at increasing our stake in insurance joint venture. So what we are looking at is, we are not only looking at just distribution of products, we are also going to get into manufacturing of products like mutual funds and insurance, right? The key, why you should come to us, I think clearly the reason is, you need to have that one global bank with you who can support you for multiple reasons. One, overseas education for your kids. As more and more we get in touch with global things, this has become the most important need for many of you sitting in this room. So we provide a complete end-to-end overseas education platform for our customers, which includes partners, which includes bank accounts, openings, mobile money remittances. You can today transfer up to $25,000 on your mobile to any country in the world, right? So that's something, it's almost, unheard of. It's like paying a local, right? So these are the capabilities which are being built. Another thing which we are bringing on table next year is going to be the international credit portability. This is something unheard of, where because you are a good customer in India, you have a good track record of payments, you can be given a credit card just while you land at your overseas destination, right? So this is coming next year for us. Apart from that, I think, we are present in almost every space, whether you look at credit cards, mortgages. We are yet to start in Kochi, but we will be starting soon. But other than that, I think there is one space for one advisor for you, right, who can be there with you without any bias, and I think HSBC can take that space. We will need all your support and blessings here to make it happen. You will see us more and more participating actively in multiple forums, multiple initiatives where we could, join hands with each one of you in different ways. With that, I say thank you for this opportunity and listening out to us, and we look forward to interact with you. Thank you so much.
we thought we'll save some time by cutting off the interaction on stage, but off stage I believe interactions can still go on. Thank you very much, Sodhi ji. We'd like Roy sir to present a giveaway as a thank you to our speaker here. Thank you very much.